Hi, I'm Carol Haycocks from FMM. I'm going to show you different ways that I use the Garret Frill cutter. So, because there's so many new techniques on the market now. So, I've cut one from my Garret Frill cutter on my soft pad, and this is my veining tool or my Dresden tool, and I'm just frilling. And if you want them to be the same, you just pull from there and pull, and you'll get them making a good frill. This is sugar paste, and it has like tile powder in. So she says as she pinches that. And the old one, where we used to use this for our frills that around the side of our cakes, can still be used because, you know, ruffles are so popular now. We can use the same technique. So now just cut like so. I'm now going to put moisture around my piece, and then I take like this, and then I would just continue there, and that will bring it right around the bottom of the cake. I just need to turn it a little weeny tad more. Pick it up, and that continues around the cake. And I'm sure that if you do cakes, you'll know this is much easier if it's done sitting directly in front of you, but not always easy to show people if it's directly in front of me. So underneath, I'm just lifting that, just touch it, and there's a nice finish to the bottom of your cake. Raw edges turn in, and then bring the next piece onto it. So, like so. Okay, if it's dropping a tad, bring it back up again. And there it is. When I've left it, and I've done about 2 or 3 of them around the cake, I always come back and I just trim. Can you see that? I just trim off the little tiny pieces. Then if you want to leave it like this, you can then put little tiny blossoms on here. You can use our new straight frill cutters and put a little butterfly on the top of it, little hearts, whatever. Or you can use the tools you've got, and you can put little tiny holes and decorate around like that. I still can't really see what I'm doing, but you get just making a little pattern on it, on the top of it. So there's one way of using it. Then, of course, if we have our ruffles, let me just and roll. Little dust. I know you can't see a lot of dust on my board, but I promise you it does make a difference. Fingers are inside, and now start moving. If you want the centerpiece to come out, but I'm going to use this without my centerpiece as well. Right, if you pull away, you'll invariably get a clean cut. And out that comes. So exactly the same, you can use this, you can use this. If you go right to the edge, you'll get a different frill, you can see it already. So your ruffles can be different. You can use a cocktail stick to do this with, whatever works for you. I find a cocktail stick just burns my fingers. So you don't be impatient like me, because that's what happens to you. But when you do this, make sure you go across all of this. Don't go in the middle and leave then 2 pieces down either side. Go across all the way. So make sure you frill every bit of it, or soften every bit of it. So again, you can just cut. Only this time I'm going to pleat. So I just hold in my hand turn in one little piece, and now I'm going to pleat. And as you pleat and turn in, so you just got rid of your raw edge. Can you see my nice ruffle? If you want to keep this ruffle in place, I usually just put a little rolling pin on it like so. That way I can then cut it and I'm not worried that it's going to fall apart when I then offer it up to my cake. So what I would do is my cake, as you can see, we started a little piece. This is just moisture in here, so you've got like a water pen, and you use whatever medium you like in there. Then use one of your tools. I like my veining tool for this. Pick it up, and then you will decide if it's too long, too short, whatever, but I push in like so, and as it's dry enough you'll pick up and allow it to go. So I'd put maybe 3 or 4 of these on, and I would come back to it each and then ruffle so that they sit up for you better. So you can just continue your ruffle all the way around. This one has a second ruffle on the top, but when I've done the second one on top, I'm just going to go, because I always think it's easier to see something than it is to try and work out what I'm talking about if I tell you something. So we'll okay, see this little hole in the middle? When we frill this, I'm going to take a piece out. You can take a piece out now. Look, so if you do it like so, and do it like so, you can then use this and take a bigger piece out. So now you have where it's got a wider hole in it, and when you put it then onto your frill, it will sit on top of what you've just done. Always sugar paste with a bit of Tyler powder or CMC powder to do this, because it could be very hard to do it with just sugar paste. Now another way of just gathering it and frilling it is, and use your tools, and you can just lift and pinch, lift and pinch. Depends on how much of a frill you want, what type of a frill you want, what type of scrunches you want. But look, that is just holding it all together. I'll always straighten it up, put my little rolling pin onto it, and tidy up. So now we've got our, I'll just turn around a little weeny piece, just put a little more moisture onto there, bring your frill up. Always a little bit of support while you're lifting and so on. And you can see what's happened straight away. It sits into it. Like so. Now I'm not even needing to put anything in to tidy up in here. If you just want your frill around. If I want this going all the way up the cake, I actually work with it so that I stick it onto this, flat onto the cake like so, instead of putting it like this. So this is a better way of ruffling, and you can still pinch like this but get it on like flat on like this. when you want it all the way up the cake. So that's your ruffle that you'd put around here, or your frill that you'd put here. And your frill is very nice if it's also draped like this around here, and then a little rose in the middle of it, and just, you can just keep going and going and going. If you would like to make like rosettes like this, I just do several frills, several pieces, and I've got some ready on the side. This is one of these things that a little tiny bit of patience is needed. I usually let them dry for about an hour before I put them into place, and when they go onto the cake, they go on with a little royal icing, and you need to sit there and then just be careful that they're not going to slide on you. So time is needed to do this kind of one. Right, back into here. You can do this with or without your, in fact we'll do this one without, just for to show. Onto here. I think sometimes we worry too much about how long it's going to take us to do something, whereas really, if we know that sometimes the tools in our box, or a simple tool that we can pick up in any of our Sugarcraft shops, can do all this kind of thing for us. A little bit of moisture. I've just put a cross on that, like that. I'm going to fold it in half, and then I'm going to do this where we do fold it here, and then I'm going to fold it back that way, and now I'm going to pinch. And as you pinch, well, you can see what's happening, and then take the whole back off. You can leave it as a flower like that, or you can bring it where you've made, now I've got 1 layer, 2 layer, 3 layers, and that's a 4th layer, and then in the middle of this one would be a 5th layer. Well, when I'm doing these, and you can see what's happened, sometimes I put this on a little piece of soft sponge and just squidge at it and let it dry. Apple trays, whatever, you can just let them dry. If you press that too much, just make another half and put it in the middle. So I'm going to leave that there for just a half a second, because when I make the center one, again, I'll just show you what I do. So I start off with this size one. Of course, the second one I want to do wants to be smaller than this. So I need my piece out of here, which I forgot to do. I blame my photographer, because you need someone else to blame always. So round you go, do your, and then you know that pleating that I done, exactly the same as this. So it helps it to go around in a circle, but make the circle smaller. So so you'd start off, I start off with this piece and just pleat, pinch and pleat, or pleat and pinch I should say, pleat and pinch. Now you've got it smaller than when we started, so you've got, and they would just join together, and that's what we make this from. And I just keep making it smaller till I get to this. So like say I have one from the outside, pinch and do smaller, pinch and do smaller, smaller as you get in. And then this one is the last one I do. And then I'll just put, it's where I've got one on here, it's nice and gone nice and hard. Then this one would have some royal icing on it, and another one here, or you can fill up the whole cake with them, whichever way works for you. And that can have a cocktail stick, she says, as she has a piece of wire in her hand because the cake is really hard to hold it in place for you until it dries off. And the royal icing will dry fairly quickly behind it, and then you just twist, twist, and out it comes, and it'll stay there for you. Squish it up a piece like this. You can edge them in pink, gold, yellow, whatever then you